Light is in the background. Setting up, man. Alright. Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakah Quadash, Damyad, which means always double honors unto the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who taught us this truth. And salutations unto the Akim that continue to push the word in truth and in sincerity. And as I said earlier, the Spirit would permit I'd come back on here a little later on. And I ran out, I did what I had to do. And, Barakateh Halbashim Yoshai, you let me get back to the spot safely. So, we're just gonna hit a couple of topics in the spirit and power of Halbashim Yoshai. And, yeah, as it says, various topics, future, and what did I call it again? The future and the end times, and the Apocrypha here as well, which is a part of the scriptures. Where am I going to? What's this, man? Isaiah. I've been reading a lot through Isaiah recently. It's kind of backwards the way I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it like this anyway, because I want to get into a couple of topics. Excuse me. Excuse me, man. The weather's changing, your sinuses act up. It's crazy, man. These bodies need to be changed, man. In fact, let me put this. So like, man, like I said, it's a bit backwards, so I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it this way because it's what the spirit's kind of pushing me to do right now. I'm gonna talk about the end time prophecy, then the kingdom, but the spirit kind of has me wanting to push what's gonna be a part of the setup of the kingdom, then get into some end time prophecies in the book of Second Ezra. Anyways, this is Isaiah chapter 2, and it says the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. So like, yeah, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Now, in the scriptures, the Bible is a parabolic book, man. So, some places where it's talking about mountains, you know, like Yahushua went up into the mountain, that's talking about a physical mountain. You know, one of the famous ones is Mount Olives, where Yahushua used to go quite often. Then, other times in the scriptures it talks about mountains. It's actually speaking about a government, a power system, okay? You would know as a government. So when it says that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, that means of all the government systems, the mountain of the Lord, which is what the government of the Lord Yahweh, will be at the top. Okay, because in the kingdom, we're gonna rule righteously. We're gonna allow these other nations to have their little setups, their little prime ministers and rulers and counselors in their own lands, but they're all gonna be under the jurisdiction of of uh, of Yashala of Israel. Okay, and they're gonna have to follow and learn the law, statutes, and commandments, man. So of all those other governments that will be set up amongst the nations, the top governing body will be from the nation of Israel, which would be the elect. Okay, because under the Most High, of course, is Yahweh Shai, all right, which is the King of Kings. Then you're gonna have under Yahweh Shai King David. Okay, because King David's gonna be set up again, right, and he's gonna be on his throne. Then you're gonna have the rest of the 11 thrones, because this group in Revelation it speaks of the thrones of the apostles, man. You know, and when you get into it via the reincarnation and who's who, King David is a part of the 12, right? Because that spirit not only holds, see, I didn't want to get into that because a bit, on the weightier side of things, but that spirit of David is also the spirit of Peter. It's also the spirit of Moses. Okay, so like in the kingdom, you know, Steve, man, in the kingdom, you want to talk to like, you ain't gonna have like a separate man for Moses, a separate man for David, a separate man for Peter. If you want to speak to Peter, you're going to speak to the same guy. If you want to speak to David, which will be the king, it will be the same man. If you want to speak to Moses, it will be the same man, because the scriptures speak about, I shall stand in my lot in the kingdom. That's the final rest, man. So all the people you were, you're gonna be all of them in one. You know, you know, like you want to speak to Isaac, because Christians like to say that when I get to heaven, I'm going to speak to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I'm going to speak to Moses and Daniel and Joshua and Ezekiel and Caleb. Like, in the kingdom, you want to speak to Isaac, you know, you got to approach your house shy because it's deep, man, you know. Anyways, and it says, the house shall be established on the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all the nations shall flow unto. Yeah, so all the nations are going to flow onto the house of Israel, man, you know, starting with the elect. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, which is what we established. The mountain as the government system, which is, you know, the accumulation of the elect. Okay. Um, and many people shall go and say, come ye, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the path of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion, to Zion, which is what the monument, and the monument of the Lord is his elect. So out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So to you fucking Christians, man, you know, the brothers were laughing at me at camp the other day, man, because I was getting mad, man. You know, rewatching those videos, you know, I was getting a bit mad. But, you know, the spirit gets like that sometimes. But, you know, they say, you fucking Christians, they start laughing, man. But it's true, man, them fucking Christians, right? You know, they would, you know, they want to say the law's done away with. You know, the law's done away with, yeah. Jesus abolished the law, you know. But then you read prophecies here in the book of Isaiah, but you donuts wouldn't know that, would you? You fucking dickheads, right? Who pick up the Bible and pretend to know what the fuck it's talking about. You wouldn't know that because you don't read. But here's a prophecy in the scriptures speaking of the end times, and it's talking about the law. Okay, but then the law's done away with. So according to you Christians, Isaiah's talking shit. Because it says here, for out of Zion shall go forth the law. So how the fuck can the law be done away with then? You know? And Salaki, I'm kind of cursing a lot, man. Now I try and calm it down, but, you know, that's just, you know, I was doing good at calming it down for a good couple of months, but, you know, that spirit is riling back up in me, man. You know, but if you got a problem with that or you're offended, you can turn off the fucking video. The fuck? Oh, man. Yeah, I kind of playful, you know, but, you know. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, which is the city of peace. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. So all the weaponry of warfare is going to be turned into machinery or equipment, tools of farming. Okay? Because there's not going to be any wars in the kingdom. You know, the scriptures speak about the first and second war, and the third cometh quickly. You know, that's talking of World War One, World War Two, and the third which cometh is what, World War Three. You know, and that's gonna become physical. You know, with the ICBMs, the scriptures speak about. You know, every battle is fought with. Blood and confused. The sound of confused noise, roughly paraphrasing. But this shall be a burning of fuel of fire. Yeah, because this is gonna be a intercontinental war. You know, with ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, man, that nuclear fire. And when Yahushua returns, whilst all of that is going on, he's gonna bring more fire, concentrated fire from the chariots, man. Via those laser beams. But after that, the scriptures say they shall study or they shall learn war no more. So after World War III, there's not going to be any need for weaponry. That's pretty much what the scripture's saying, man. There's not going to be any need for no weaponry, okay? Because it's going to be a peaceful kingdom, right? Okay? That's why, in fact, if you go to Genesis 49, it speaks about until Shiloh comes, man. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. Talking of Yahushua, going back to the man of peace, man. So, Melchizedek was also known as what? Malak Tazadak. Malak Shalom, king of Salem. Shalom meaning what? Peace, man. So, and which was Yahushua, So you think in the Lord's kingdom, Yahushua's kingdom, there's gonna be war. You having a fucking Barney, mate. Dude, come on. There ain't gonna be no war when Yahushua comes and sets up his kingdom, man. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. There you go, I just quoted that. And it says, O house of Jacob, come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore, thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Now, I'm on 17 minutes. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop it at around just after 20 minutes, and I'm gonna continue on, because what happens is when I go over half an hour, for some reason YouTube takes like 10 to 15 hours to upload my videos if they're longer than half an hour. So I'm gonna stop it at around the 20-minute mark, and I'll just call this part 1, I guess, and then continue on with part 2, right? In fact, before I continue on with the verses, let me do that now. So I'm gonna jump back on right now with part 2. Shalom.